Yes, welcome everyone here to the Smash Sports Show right here on Smash FM here on a Saturday morning here in Melbourne. Of course, let's go back across to the US. Of course, we were just at Columbia, Missouri. Of course, we're going a little bit further east of them. Of course, we're heading to New Haven in Connecticut in particular on the east coast of America. Of course, we're going to Yale women's basketball team. Of course, we've got a very special guest on the show right now. Of course, her name's Elles. She joins us right now. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. Well, tell us, how has it been this year in a pretty unusual year? Normally, I'm assuming you would have played a couple of college games normally, but I guess how difficult has this year been, and has any of your games been cancelled?
Yeah, so it's very frustrating for us this year. We've had actually our whole season cancelled, so we didn't get to play any games at all this season, which has been really frustrating. It's been difficult to kind of cope with that loss, and like a huge fragment of my life obviously has always been basketball, so it's a very new experience for me. Especially considering I came to Yale to play basketball. It's interesting that I then obviously cannot play. But we've still had some trainings. We've been doing lifting, conditioning as well. So having that aspect at a college level has been, it's been interesting. Been having some growth in terms of lifting and being able to kind of get that collegiate experience, which I've never really done before. And then obviously the academics at the college level as well has been a lot of fun. It's been difficult. Been pushing myself pretty hard, but so far I've had a great semester. I've got 1 week left of finals, so it's definitely made for an interesting and different experience. Not exactly what I was expecting, but it's been fun.
Now, you mentioned that your team season was cancelled. When did you find out about that?
So we never really knew if we would have any games or not. I think about 2 weeks ago, they actually also decided to cancel our season for next semester. So I know that we're not going to have any games. But they were always kind of sitting on the fence a little bit with, are they going to cancel it? Are they not going to cancel it? In March, they cancelled the March Madness for last season. So for the class before me. And I think that was kind of a tell that, we wouldn't have any games until there was an improvement. Now, unfortunately, we didn't see an improvement here, and the Ivy League decided as a whole to keep games cancelled until there was a significant improvement, which again, there hasn't been, so they did decide to cancel the season next semester. So I'm hoping that maybe we'll see a decline in cases, and with the vaccination, we might be able to get a season, but for now, they've pretty much said all games are going to be off.
So the question I want to ask you then, is, I guess, when you heard about the news 2 weeks ago about it, I guess, what was the feeling around the team, and what have you been doing between the announcement and now to sort of get yourselves at least some sort of basketball shape for hopefully whenever that season's going to get underway?
Yeah, so we've had like a very split up semester, and I guess even within our team, we've only had 2 of us actually on campus, and then we had a group that were living quite close to campus in a house. And so the people that were training this semester was only a group of 5 of us doing the strength and conditioning. We had a lot of people take gap years as well, knowing that we wouldn't have any games. And so they were just not around campus. And then we had a couple people that enrolled remotely, and so they weren't able to train with us either. So once we did hear that news, it was pretty much straight after then that we got sent off campus. They closed all the dormitories for the Thanksgiving break, and no one's been allowed back since. So I've been at home in Connecticut since then, and then some of my friends have stayed around, or some of my teammates have stayed around campus and are trying to get their training in there. But everything has been very much individual and doing things on our own, which has also been a little bit difficult, especially trying to get that team feel. We've obviously had like Zoom calls and keeping in touch with everyone, kind of keeping contact with the coaches as well, but we haven't been able to do a lot of big team trainings to keep like our basketball kind of going. So that's been difficult, honestly, to maintain the focus with basketball and making sure that we are still ready if we do get some games. Personally, for me, I've been training at a private facility with my younger sister who's in high school here. And we've been doing some trainings and just like one-on-ones against each other. So that's how I've been kind of trying to stay in shape and trying to keep like the basketball skills up just a little bit at least.
Now, the silly question I'm going to ask you is, obviously, if my memory serves me correct, this is your first year over there in the States?
Yes.
Yep. So the question I want to ask you then is, I guess, how difficult was it to, go from Australia, and especially from New South Wales, where they had barely any, to over there, and all of a sudden, your season's cancelled, and obviously COVID has taken full effect over there in the US.
I mean, obviously, it's like a very big change. The masks for me were a big thing, like leaving the house and being like, oh, like I actually need to put a mask on. So that was like a big kind of change for me. I went straight from Sydney to campus. So everything was very much enforced on us. Like if we walked into somewhere without a mask on, you'd be turned around. You had to go back inside. So I'd often like leave my dorm room and I wouldn't be wearing a mask. And then I'd see someone and they'd be wearing a mask and be like, oh, I have to go back and get a mask, because you just wouldn't be let into places if you weren't wearing a mask. So I guess with being on campus, it was a lot more enforced and everyone else was doing it. So you kind of just like conform to that. And I guess you're kind of forced to, maintain distances, not be in like big group gatherings, that kind of thing. But it has been like a really big adjustment for me. In Sydney, like I don't think I wore a mask ever, and here every time I leave my house, I have to wear one. So that's obviously a big thing. And then there's just like the fear of actually getting COVID as well as obviously also present. I mean, I know it's maybe not life-threatening for me, but could be, and could also have just huge risks if anyone else caught it as well. So I guess there's that. But I mean, the main way that it has affected me is through the things that it has cancelled. Basketball, social gatherings, just in general. It's put like kind of a really weird atmosphere around the whole college life, especially in a place where they are really enforcing everything very heavily. Like in the libraries, you have to keep masks on. You can only have like one person per room. There's like couches in common areas. You can only have one person on the couch, like that kind of thing. And they are like definitely enforcing those rules as well. They're not just there, like they have people that come around and tell you off. So it's definitely very strict, which I guess is a good thing, because we obviously want cases to go down, but it's also a very big adjustment.
You might as well tell us a bit about your coaching staff there at Yale, and what have you already learnt from them?
Yeah, so we've got our head coach, Alison Goof, and then we have Miller and we have Coach Emma. And then I think they are looking at getting another coach as well. So Coach Emma and Coach Miller are the two assistants. He actually just got that position. So that's going to be really exciting. Those three have been like with us throughout all of the coaching this semester. Unfortunately, we only had 2 trainings in the gym with basketballs, 2 trainings the whole semester. So we didn't get to do a whole lot. There weren't any team trainings. Those trainings was just me and the other freshmen, because there was restrictions on how many people were allowed inside. So again, super strict. But we did like a lot of shooting, and then just kind of starting to learn a little bit where the spots were on the court that the coaches wanted us to be. And when we have people driving, like where we're going to move to, where we're going to have the drifters, that kind of thing. So obviously with those 2 training sessions, we didn't get to learn a whole lot about the offense just yet. But we were doing a lot more individual things, which was a lot of fun. But I do know that the coaches are very focused. Even with just having 2 trainings, they're still keeping in touch with us, keeping like sure that we're doing well in our exams, that we're doing stuff outside of school. And I know that they're going to be really helpful in terms of developing me individually as an athlete as well. Even like throughout the recruiting process, it was those 3 coaches that I spoke to the most, and they were just really excited about my potential at Yale and how I could develop in terms of me, but also like within the team. So I'm really excited to get to learn more about them and for them to teach me more things.
Being over there in the US, Obviously, I'm assuming your family's over there at the moment. Especially you mentioned about your younger sister. I guess my question is, do you miss home and do you get homesickness?
I 100% miss home. I miss like all my friends there, my lifestyle there. Obviously, with the semesters being different, I had like an 8-month gap year, and that was probably like the best time of my life. I was working for a little bit, going to the beach, camping, seeing my friends pretty much every day. So it was really difficult to obviously leave that, but like I know it's the right decision to have come here instead of enrolling remotely. But it's definitely like difficult to kind of imagine what my life could have been if I had stayed in Australia, just because I was having such a great time during that gap year, which isn't surprising because I had like no responsibilities. um, but no, I definitely miss Australia. I miss my friends a lot. In terms of homesickness, I don't really experience that because my mom and my dad came over here as well, just for the first year because of COVID, because of the uncertainties within the Ivy League. And then I have an older brother who's studying in Indiana. I have an older sister who's in UNC Chapel Hill, and then my sister's also in Connecticut. So right now we're all together, which is really nice for Christmas and for the holidays. And even when I did get kind of like upset or I missed my family, it was only like 30 minutes for me to be able to go see my parents, which has actually really helped a lot because there are times when you do feel really alone and you do feel really isolated. With COVID at the moment, it's not really easy to be able to go out and just like hang out with someone at a coffee shop because a lot of the places don't have seating, for example, and we didn't have roommates because everyone had to be in their own room due to online classes, and everyone needed their own space to be able to do those online classes. So everything is like very isolated, which did get a little bit difficult at times. I'm really happy to have had the like team support me, and I did make some really good friends outside of basketball as well. But it still was nice to be able to go home a couple weekends during the semester and just hang out with my sister, hang out with my parents. So I've really enjoyed that.
Now, let's talk a bit about your team. I'm assuming you had sort of had a chance, at least over Zoom, I'm assuming, to catch up with, I guess, the team in particular. Is there any of the players in that team that are seniors that supposedly were meant to play their last season this year, but obviously due to this, that I think they have another year of eligibility again going to next year?
Yeah, so we have got a couple seniors at the moment who would gain another year of eligibility, but I'm not entirely sure if any of them are actually going to take advantage of that and play like a postgrad year anywhere. Two of the seniors that we have are interested in law and looking to go to law school. So I think they really want to focus on just being able to pursue that instead of having the, I guess, kind of for them would be potentially a distraction to play basketball. And then the other two, I'm not exactly sure what they're going to be doing post graduation, but I'm like 99% confident that they aren't actually going to be taking advantage of that year of eligibility, just because they would have already planned, I guess, what they wanted to do before knowing that, oh, like we could actually play another year somewhere else and potentially get a scholarship and have like a master's degree paid for example. So I think a lot of people kind of started to plan their future without having that idea and having that as an option.
Now let's talk a bit about your basketball journey. Where did it all start and why did you choose it?
So for me, it started back in under 12s. I was originally like just a netball fanatic. I trained every single day, starting from when I was like 4 years old. And Kitty Henderson from Manly Warringah was in one of my netball teams, and she was like, "Oh, like you should come and try out for the rep team. Like I think you'd be good. You're tall, you can move. Like you should try out. Just do it. Like it'll be fun." And I was like, okay, I don't know what basketball is. I don't like being touched. I don't like contact, but I'll give it a go. And so I went to the tryouts with her in under 12s. And then it pretty much started from there. I got into the rep team there. And then ever since then, I've always played with Kitty as well. At Manly Warringah, stayed at that club until Youth League and ABA, and have been playing for New South Wales as well. And yeah, it's been all pretty much in that same location, started and finished there. And I hope to maybe be able to return and play ABA sometime in the future as well.
Yes, of course, I have to ask, obviously, your home club back here, Manly Warringah, of course, didn't they win the Youth League competition, the Waratah League this year?
They did, indeed.
Now, the question I want to ask you is, were you part of that team, or did you actually get a chance to watch them play? And how good was it to see them win the championship in the Waratah League?
Yeah, so I was a part of that team at the start of the year. I wasn't at that point. I was still considering taking a gap year, so I was like playing pretty much 100%. I was at all of the games. I was at all of the trainings. And I thought that I would potentially be there for the finals as well. So I was just like, 100% a part of that team until I decided that I was going to go to America and had to leave. But it was super exciting to see them win. I mean, I knew they had it in them. All of the games that we played, we did like a really good job. And the team is super strong. We've got a lot of really good players in there. So I can't say I was surprised, but I was certainly proud of them. Yeah, it was really good to see that.
And how good was to see your best friend, Kitty Henderson, getting the MVP?
Yeah, it's amazing. She's such a good player, so definitely deserves it.
Well, Maas will get you to give your local association, the Manly Warringah team, a bit of a shout out, and especially how important has the association been to your journey to where you are now there in Connecticut?
I mean, well, obviously I started there, and that's where I kind of built my foundations in terms of basketball. All of the basic skills, dribbling, passing, being able to move around the court and being able to shoot, seeing as I used to shoot netball style in basketball, which wasn't ideal, of course. So all of my basic foundations did come from there. Dave Greenberg and Paula Martin were my coaches for under 12s and under 14s. And I can say with absolute confidence that they are two of the best coaches to ever be existing in all of Australia. They're so amazing at building that really strong foundation. And I think they've really transformed our girls program as well. And then after that, I had Tim Hill for a while, had Darren Lawrenson for a while as well. I guess they just kind of helped me to build on those foundations. Timothy Hill has been amazing for me in the whole college process as well, because he was my coach when I first started speaking to schools and starting getting recruited, and he helped to kind of filter in some of the better schools to contact me, because I was also doing my HSCs at that time and was kind of overwhelmed with everything. I wasn't even sure what I was going to be doing, where I was going to be going, what all the different kind of schools were, how big they were, where they were, what the weather would be like. So it was really overwhelming for me in that whole process. But Tim, as well as being an amazing coach and helping me with everything from shooting, driving, telling me to be more tough, telling me to get lower, to stop being so soft, that kind of thing. But he also just helped me with that whole process, and he gave me a lot of mentorship, a lot of advice, and was kind of just another dad to kind of help me get through the whole situation. He also was quite close with my parents, so they would kind of discuss everything. And I guess it was really good to just have them all overseeing what I was doing to make sure that I guess everything was going well and that I was heading in the right direction in terms of choosing a school that was good for me.
What does the sport of basketball mean to you, and especially being there at Yale?
The sport of basketball, did you say? I mean, for me, it's so much. It's half of my life, I would say. It's the way to stay fit. It's a way to make friends. It's fun. It's a way to express yourself in a way that isn't really possible with anything else. There are times when I play and I'm just going to be super aggressive. I'm going to be so tough. I'm going to get out all my frustrations, all my anger, everything I've got. And then I play some cranky chicken without a head. Can't even explain. And then there's other times when I'm going to be crafty. I'm going to, try different moves and whatever I want to do. And in basketball, everything is possible. And there's so many different players with so many different styles, so many people that you can aspire to be like, to play like. And that's what I think is really special about this sport. There's not really many restrictions. There's not many limitations. You can do so much. And I always say this when I'm comparing netball and basketball, but in netball, when you get the ball, that's kind of where the play ends for you. Then you have to pass it off. Whereas in basketball, you get the ball and that's where it all starts. That's when you get to make your moves. It's when you get to shoot, you get to dribble, you get to do whatever you kind of want to do. And so for me, it's just like creativity, I guess, that kind of can flow from that. And I guess it does sometimes take a little bit more than creativity to be good. But it's just exciting. It's always something different. You can't really predict what a basketball game is going to be like because people are always surprising you with it. And then on top of that, it's the most amazing way to make connections. You become closer to your teammates than any other of your friends, and you have a connection that is so much deeper than just friendship because you're there to win, you're there to play hard, and you kind of put everything on the line, especially in tournaments. You live together for like 10 plus days. And you do everything together. You're taking care of your bodies, you're keeping each other in check, you're making sure that everyone is in the right mindset, but also in the right physical state to be able to compete and to play well. And I feel like those friendships are the ones that I know will last forever because it's so much deeper than just who you get along with well. So yeah, it's a special sport.
Do you have any basketball highlights throughout your journey?
I would say probably the under 16s when I was top age, we got third in the country at nationals. That was a very, very special tournament to me. I really enjoyed that one. Probably one of my better tournaments as well. But just the excitement in our bronze medal game was one of the most exciting and thrilling games that I've ever played in. And every single play, I know that every player gave 100% of their effort. And that is just like the most exciting thing for me when you know that everyone in your team is sacrificing everything to be able to play well. And then we won with like 2 points and there was like a couple seconds on the clock. It was really like down to the last minute. So it was just like so much excitement. But yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite games. And then I would say the European Championships that I played in was just one of the more exciting, unfamiliar times that I played basketball. And that was really a chance for me to step outside my comfort zone. So I wouldn't say it was one of my better tournaments, but I would say it was one where I grew a lot and I got the opportunity to do a lot of things that I hadn't done before. I had to play the point guard at an international tournament when I usually play on the wing or as a power forward. So I definitely learned a lot in that tournament. Also, everything was in another language, so it was difficult to be able to, really converse with people. So it was just like basketball, 100% and only basketball. But definitely super exciting being able to play against some amazing athletes there, and make connections with people in the Netherlands, see my family as well while I was there, and have them be able to watch me, which they hadn't really been able to do while I was in Australia. So I guess being able to share my basketball with the rest of my family was really exciting as well.
Do you have any future ambitions in the sport of basketball post-college?
Look, I don't know where the COVID situation is going to take us this entire, I guess, college career for me, but I'm really hoping that I will be able to take advantage of the extra year of eligibility as we were talking about before. And if I am not able to, if I don't get into anywhere postgraduate, I think that I would really want to be able to either play in Europe, just in the EuroLeague, or potentially even try out for the Dutch Olympic team. I think that would be like one of my like bigger life goals would be playing in the Olympics. I think I'd have a best shot at it in terms of playing for the Netherlands, and that is my only country of citizenship at the moment as well. So I think that if I do get the opportunity at Yale to continue to play basketball at a high level and actually get the training here once COVID kind of clears up, then yeah, I would definitely look forward to being able to do that, if it is possible.
What will be your advice to our listeners out there that should support Yale from back home?
I would just say that if people are like looking to go to college in terms of basketball and for scholarships, to start early with it. And like people might be like, oh, you're starting way too early, like you're putting in like so much effort. But like the earlier you start, the better, and the more effort you put in, the more opportunities you're going to get out of it. And that doesn't mean just like putting effort into basketball itself, which obviously is the most important thing. But not being afraid to actually like email schools as well. And if you are really interested in going to a school, like for example, if you really wanted to go to Yale, like to just have the confidence to email them yourself, to get the email from any of the coaches on the staff, which you can find online, send in highlights, send an email, and just give it a shot, because at the end of the day they're looking at hundreds of athletes, and you can stand out by actually like shooting your shot yourself. But in terms of basketball, keep working on fundamentals. That's always gonna get you somewhere in life. If you don't have all of the tricky moves, you can still get places by just being able to shoot. So that's what I kind of live by.
Now let's finish on a couple of lighthearted questions about your teammates. Firstly, have you convinced any of your teammates to come down to Australia with you?
I've convinced every single one of them. So we're going to have to do a team trip at some point. I think everyone really wants to visit.
Now, has any of them tried to put the Australian accent on, and how's that traveling?
We do have two in our team. We've got Camilla and Erin, who love their little Australian accents. We've got a couple Australian names that we use. Actually, they're not really Australian, they're more British, but we won't. Everyone who tries to do an Australian accent ends up doing a British one, but no judgment. They try.
I guess, and then on the other side of that question is, have you tried the American accent since you arrived there, and how's that traveling?
I sometimes whip it out and people are like, oh, I thought you were American for a second. But if they know who I am, they're like, you sound terrible. That does not sound American at all. So I kind of have to do it like when people aren't expecting it. And then I kind of get people to believe me. But otherwise, they're just like, that doesn't sound American at all. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Now, do you have a pre-game superstition or ritual?
Not really. I used to do with Kitty, we used to like Kitty and Riley Crawford, if you know her, we used to like bless our socks. We
Yes.
a little blessing ritual, which I don't know how successful that was, but we tried to do that. But I don't have any actual superstitions really. I just, I don't know, just play.
Yes, no, I remember her telling me that at National Classics a couple of years ago. So, uh, now I've got to ask this one: who's the comedian in the team?
I would say it's a little bit of everything. We've only really had like full team, like talks over Zoom. And so I guess it just kind of depends who's in the mood to be funny, because with having like 20 people on a Zoom, it's like hard to just like be a comedian. But we've got a lot of comedians in the team, I think. So once we actually start playing and start training, I think it'll be a fun season.
And I've got to finish up with this one last one, which is, I know there's this social media thing called TikTok. So the question I want to ask you is, any good singers and dancers in the team we should know about?
Yes, Hailey Sable. I think everyone should follow her on TikTok. She's got some great ones.
Well, Elles, thank you so much for joining us. It's awesome having you on the show. Can't wait to see what happens with your team. Obviously, won't be this year, but obviously, hopefully, next season, and hopefully, you can get back into it and hopefully get back on the court very, very soon.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but we shall see. Thank you so much for having me. It's nice to speak to you again.
No worries. And that's Elles there from the Yale women's basketball team. Of course, if you want to follow their progress, obviously next season, of course, we'll put all the details up on how you can go about supporting the team in the 21-22 season next year. There's more on the Smash Sports Show right after this. Don't go away here on the Saturday edition.